Okay, Google, define clickbait.
Here's the definition of clickbait. Informal. On the internet, content whose main purpose is to attract attention and encourage visitors to click on a link to a particular web page.
Word to your mother, my name's Steve, this channel is FRAG30 and thanks for tuning in, it's appreciated. Today's fragrance is a fragrance that has made me think I need to quit this fragrance malarkey because this could be the one. The reactions I've had from this fragrance are far beyond any reactions I've ever had before, so it makes me think, you know, should I stop now? Do I need to keep looking? So before I tell you what this fragrance is, let me tell you a little story. A few weeks ago, just after I got this fragrance, I applied it first thing in the morning at about 8 o'clock and then I headed off to work. I had some customer meetings that day and then at about 1 o'clock I went to a cafe for some lunch. I ordered my food, went and sat down in a little booth. There was 2 guys working in this cafe and a woman. As I sat there playing on my phone, she walked through the kind of cafe area and she then commented to her colleague, "Are you wearing some aftershave because something smells really nice?" Now, as soon as I heard this, my ears pricked up because that's what we listen for as a frag head. That is like the dream. As soon as I heard her say that, I thought, please let this be me. But I wasn't expecting it. She smelled her colleague's neck and she said, no, it's not you. And then she went and smelled the other guy's neck and she was like, no, it's not you either. And then she looked over to me and pointed and she said, I bet it's him. And she kind of walked out because she saw I was then looking and she said, oh, I'm going to come and smell you. She then walked out of the bar area, kind of behind the bar where they serve food, into the kind of cafe area, walked around into the aisle, down kind of near where my booth and said, I'm going to smell your neck. She walked up to me, smelt my neck and she went, it's him, that is gorgeous. So she loved it. She kind of walked off going, oh, it smells so good. Now, I was amazed because bearing in mind this fragrance had been on 5 hours at that point and she wasn't right next to me, she was the other side of the bar. So it must have still been performing pretty damn well. Now, I did go heavy that morning, I must confess, because I tried it the day before and the projection seemed quite soft to me, so I did go fairly heavy. Now, that amused me because I've never had a reaction like that. I've had people comment, oh, normally I just kind of get things like, oh, you smell nice, just after I've greeted somebody, maybe with a hug or if I'm working right next to them or something like that. So I sent my wife a message and told her what happened, kind of just because I knew she'd find it amusing and also to wind her up because I said this woman kind of obviously went in and smelt my neck and said it was gorgeous. When I got home later that day, I sort of made a comment about it to my wife and she said, did you put any of that fragrance on our boy this morning? And I said, yeah, I did. I was kind of applying it and he asked if he could have some so I could put a couple of sprays on him. She said, oh, because all of the ladies at his nursery were saying to me how they were smelling him today because he smelled divine. So even the boy was getting some compliments off of this fragrance. So it's an absolute beast. I've never known anything like it. So before I tell you what this fragrance is, let me tell you that it cost me £36 delivered for 60ml. It has come down in price quite a lot. I did manage to get a good deal on it. I'll narrow it down a little bit further, just so anybody that's playing guessing games. The fragrance is from the house of Mont Blanc, and the fragrance is Mont Blanc's Explorer. Now, it's blown me away. As you can see, this bottle it's a really nice presentation, this fragrance, and I've smelt it ages ago in store, and yes, I thought it smelled like a Ventus, but didn't give it too much of a thought. But I've been looking more recently for an Aventus type fragrance, even though I'm not a big Aventus fan. I've always just thought I probably need like an Aventus DNA in my collection. So then I ended up kind of buying this fragrance. It wasn't a blind buy, but it was quite a few weeks or even months before, kind of from when I smelt it to when it got delivered. I personally do not think it is a clone of Aventus. For starters, at the top, obviously Aventus has pineapple as one of the big things that anything that's pineapple in gets compared to Aventus. This kind of doesn't. It has bergamot at the top, which I personally prefer. I always find, this is sacrilegious, I know, but I always find the pineapple in Aventus a bit too sort of fruity, sickly sweet. It's a bit kind of too much. I don't like it. I prefer the bergamot in this because it's just kind of gives it just kind of nice freshness. So I prefer the opening to Aventus straight away. I think this is a mixture of Aventus and Sauvage. 2 fragrances that I've declared in the past that I'm not huge fans of, but I tell you what, in my eyes, this takes the best of those 2. Now, am I saying, you know, this is a better quality fragrance than Aventus or better blended. No, I'm not. But what I'm saying is they've taken the best bits and they've put it into a very well, easy wearing, easily digestible kind of mass appealing fragrance. They've taken all of these elements to make it just really kind of just easy access kind of version of those two fragrances. As it dries down, it becomes this kind of woody, it's got some elements of the Aventus DNA without doubt. It's kind of manly woodiness with some sort of sauvaginess in there as well. So it's basically got this manly woods with some of the ambroxan in there as well. So I would say it's like 80% Aventus, 20% Sauvage, but to me it's the best of both. It's got that manly yet kind of clean, fresh kind of Aventus vibe going on, and it's got the ambroxan is not too much. In Sauvage I find the ambroxan a bit too much. It's a bit overbearing, a bit sickly, kind of cloying kind of ambroxan sweetness. With this, there's just enough ambroxan in there to give it this mass appealing sweetness without being too much or too cloying. So for £36 delivered, I'm well chuffed with this. To get those sort of reactions from people I'm just absolutely shocked. And I don't care what you say. I know, you know, people might go, it's copied Aventus, copied it, but I don't think it's an Aventus clone. It's certainly inspired it without doubt. I'm not denying that. But I do think it is different enough to Aventus. But they've just taken the best bits from Aventus, the best bits from Sauvage, and put it in this just really mass appealing, easy access, easy wearing fragrance that just works. I mean, fair play to Mont Blanc. They've done a cracking job in this fragrance. You can't deny that this is going to be successful, and it is a good fragrance. As I've already indicated, performance on me is actually pretty good. Now, that morning when I got the reactions 5 hours later, I did go quite heavy because I'd kind of tried it briefly the day before and realised it's fairly soft on the sort of projection, so I thought I'd go quite heavy. So I did apply it to neck, shoulders and hair, and possibly even wrist or hand, I can't remember. So I did go fairly heavy, but this is an EDP and it does kind of wear one like one. It's fairly soft on the projection, but you do certainly get it, and it obviously worked for that lady in the cafe. But it wears quite close, I think, relatively speaking, but it does seem to hang around quite a while. But I say that, it's not beast mode by any means. I got those compliments from that lady at 5 hour mark. I could still smell it on me at the 6 hour mark, but by that stage it was fairly faint. So I would say I probably got 6 to 7 hours out of this, so it's no beast, but it's pretty good, especially for the price. So all I'm saying is don't write this off as just another Aventus clone. Yes, it certainly takes some inspirations from Aventus, but they've done such a good job offering this in such an easily accessible package, especially for the price, that it's worth looking into. It smells really good. For me, as I say, it takes the best bits of Aventus, the best bits of Sauvage, presents them in a very easily accessible fragrance. It's really good for people that are a bit more designer, probably like me, that doesn't necessarily, you know, people that don't appreciate the complexities of some of the niche fragrances, and in which case, you know, doesn't necessarily see that they warrant the cost. So for that reason, just don't write off Explorer from Mont Blanc. Give it a go. Especially now the prices have come down. So thank you for watching. I hope you found my story mildly entertaining. I just had to share it with you because it sort of blew my mind, to be honest. Have you tried Mont Blanc Explorer? Have you had similar results, or, you know, is it a compliment monster for you? Please comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear your Mont Blanc Explorer stories, because it seems to be doing really well for a lot of people that I've spoken to. Thanks again for watching. As always, please hit the like button if you got something out of this, and if you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks again. I'll see you for my next video. Much love.